Right, so before I adjust my phones and everything, like Neil said, I think that this talk is different than the others because mine, I usually work with C# and XAML, not JavaScript, so I'm not sure if anyone here does or is interested in XAML at all. But the idea of the talk, I'm not sure how much I can really teach you guys or show you guys in 15 minutes. So I wanted this to more be of an inspirational talk, like show you guys that you can actually go and do something neat in 15 minutes, or at least get started with something neat and publish your idea, put your idea out there, and actually get some revenue, or just go through the experience of actually creating an app. Because there's actually a process to be followed when you submit the app, when you're publishing your app. So many things that I had to go through when I created my first one that I didn't expect. And it's been an awesome experience to learn this. So let's go and this is something that I hate to do, is code in front of other people, because the keys seem smaller and it seems like you're making typos all the time. But let me give it a try. Let's make this maybe 200, or maybe just change the fonts, right? How big did you use them, Tess, before? Is Tess here?
20 something.
20? So maybe this big?
Yeah.
Okay. So, first thing, I guess actually maybe Chrome. So the first thing here is what you guys can do with your app is actually going through something simple. Like this app is based on something that's very simple. That's actually getting the TTC arrival times, which is actually an open data. It's a service that's offered by the city of Toronto, and that's not the only service that's available for free from the city. So you actually can go and find stuff like the green pea parking lots that you see everywhere. There's a web service for that too. So if you want to kind of create your app and show where the TTC parking lots, the green peas are in the city, how many parking spaces they have, how much it costs per hour, all the information is available for free. So it's kind of neat because you don't have storage, you don't have anything like this. You can just go to the web, retrieve that, and show it in an interesting way. So let me do a copy and paste here. This would be the address for retrieving the service. I'm not sure if you can see the URL, but it doesn't really matter. That's just, it's basically I know the ID. What?
Control plus.
Control plus. A little bit more. It's just so you have an idea of what it is. Basically what I'm doing here, I have a URL. It's the URL for a web service. It's just an HTTP service. So it's not SOAP, it's not anything complicated. And I'm just giving it the number of a stop, which is a stop close to my job. And the route, which is 111, is the East Mall route for the bus. And you get an XML like this. All you have to do is browse the XML and display it in your app in an interesting way. So the handy thing, so the complicated part with our app would be to parse that XML, right? Luckily, we can start by going to NuGet and looking for a package, which I did myself. You can kind of see that I'm interested in the TTC service. So it's basically a service that just goes to this web. It's a client that goes to this web service, takes this XML and converts into .NET objects, into POCO objects, so you don't have to have that work. So it's nothing fancy, but it saves you a lot of work. So let's begin by, I guess, creating a view model class. Okay. I actually there's some boilerplate. I guess I didn't ask, right? Who here does C# and XAML? Okay, so there's a few people. So this is just boilerplate called my view model base. Just boilerplate for firing the on property change, notifying the UI. We're gonna see how to use this. For now, just leave this code as it is. We're gonna create a class derived from this one. It's gonna be my main view model. And the view model is going to be the class that's going to represent the data for our main page. So let's create an observable collection of string, so we can start simple and see how far we can go. And let's call this predictions. Create a constructor, initialize our predictions, and let's use my little library. So this is the client that we're going to need to retrieve the data from the web service. Like I said, too many fingers. So this is the very basic stuff. Let's create a model, a method for loading that data initially. So like I said, let's start with something simple. So I'm not going to select the stop or anything like that. Let's start with a hard-coded one. So let's say get predictions, and this NextBus, it's called nextbus.net because NextBus is actually the service that provides the GPS tracking for vehicles, not only just for the TTC, but all across the US and Canada. So the NextBus is a service that the TTC hired to provide the GPSs in the vehicles and to expose the API, so the city doesn't do everything. They subcontract this company to do that. So with this, you could actually query data from any bus system that uses the NextBus service. So in our case, it's the TTC. I know that the stop is 5534. Oops. And I know that the route that I want is 111. Predictions. Let's use this to populate. Oh, this is, okay, so this is a .NET 4.5 thing. So if you're familiar with async, Windows 8 wants you to do everything asynchronously, so you're not locking up the API, so you can leave as much free resources as possible. So going to the file system, doing web service calls, database calls, everything is async. So, and we know that async makes your code a little bit more complicated. So here I'd have a task of list of predictions. I'd have to wait on that to be able to get the response. But there's an easier way. I can actually use the async keyword from .NET 4.5. And I can just say, await on this. And actually, and magic happens, and now it seems like you're not dealing with async anymore. It's just dealing with a list of objects. Because the compiler is actually doing all that work and creating callbacks and doing everything behind the scenes. So you don't have to implement all that code for dealing with asynchronous calls. So this is a beautiful thing. So now this guy is just a list. Let's get our predictions. Each prediction object returns you the number of seconds that the vehicle is away. We have to do a toString on this guy. Now, we come to our main page. I'm going to create a view model here, or reference my view model. And I'm going to set the data context of the page to this object, to this view model. And when we get into the page on this navigated to event, I'm going to get my view model. And I'm going to say view model dot load my data. The last step is to be able to go into the XAML itself, into the page itself. Reduce the design a little bit and just create a big list box. I'm going to say that the item source, which is where the data comes from a binding that's connected to the data context that I set behind on the code behind of the page. So because the data context is my view model, I'm going to use my predictions property on my view model. And if I haven't forgotten anything, we should see something already. Yeah. So it's a little small, but you can see there in the corner. So this is given in seconds, which is okay. We can go to our view model and make this a little bit better, just with a time span from seconds, passing the number of seconds, and let's format this guy. Oh, thanks, Alex. See, that's why I brought a friend. Too many braces. Okay, so now it actually shows up in minutes now. It's a little bit better, but it's still static, right? We can make this actually keep retrieving results. The trick with this is, for anyone that's interested in writing such application, for a Windows Store application like this, it's not such a big deal the number of requests you have, because this service, it limits the number of requests you have per IP. I'd say that on a client application like this, which is going to be running on your device, it's actually okay. I don't think you can max it out even if you do every 5 seconds or a couple of seconds. But if you're doing this from a web server that's serving a lot of people, then you definitely want to find a different strategy. Like maybe using JavaScript on the client side to call the service and pass you the results. Anyway, let's create dispatcher. Timer. let's say that our timer has a interval of 5 seconds. And every time it ticks, every time we hit the 5 seconds, I want to call this function. Load again. And let's say timer dot start. So now you can see that every 5 seconds I'm updating the list. Still not ideal because I'm just appending items to my list. Alright, easy to fix. All I need to do is clear my predictions. Now 250, the first one, 245, 240 again. So this is the kind of the simplest thing that I think you can do. How are we doing in time there? Pretty close?
Do you have a big example to
Huh?
flash it with?
Yeah. I can jump to the finished version. Is that okay? Well, this version in this version itself, we can just, now that this is just a view model, and we can go and change the style itself, having something a little bit nicer looking. Okay, not so much nicer. Okay, it's actually because I didn't get to the point I wanted. Let's jump to the final version here. And what I did is, because I knew that I wouldn't have the time to finish everything, I actually coded this step by step at home, doing it to create a Git repository and I published to GitHub. So you can actually go through the example step by step, just checking out every commit and see how it progresses. So you can actually see from the start, from just doing that first iteration where you just see the static version, all the way to having a finished version like this. So this is what I like about the Windows 8 applications. It's like the Chromeless look looks much nicer. All you need to do is add an image, a little bit of style, and you have something that looks much nicer, right? It's kind of a compelling, more compelling application. This actually took me probably an hour to make, not the 15 minutes that I had here, but an hour to make. Just as I guess to finish up, and because I said that I actually wanted to inspire you guys to actually go and try out yourself to write the apps. I was talking to Fred a little bit earlier that my experience with this, I got a Nokia last year and I said I need to start developing for Microsoft because I'm a Microsoft developer. And I thought the simplest scenario that I could make, so I'm going to write a mileage calculation application, which is something that there's got to be a billion out there. Right? But it's something I enjoy doing it. I track my own mileage. I'm going to do the features I like and publish it out there. So I did it on my phone, published it early this year. I saw like the first couple of downloads was something from Israel, so obviously it wasn't my mom, it wasn't my dad. I'm from Brazil, so I was pretty excited. But then these two became 20. This 20 became 100, and then 100 a day, 700 a day, and it's been a couple months now, maybe 17,000 downloads I'm reaching, which is something totally unexpected for something that's super simple. So the message here is just, go out there, Put your idea. If it's something you like, do a decent design, a nice design, something that's nice looking. Publish it, because you might actually get results from that. I'm not getting rich of making this app, but I'll tell you that it's pretty rewarding to see 5-10 reviews coming a day, to see 400, 500 downloads coming every day from, I think now, like 78 different countries, almost 80 different countries in the world using something that you made. That's really simple. It took me about maybe 4 weeks of extra time after work, maybe an hour a day, a couple hours a day. So go out there and try to write your apps and enjoy the process. It's a really cool platform, right? Any questions? Sorry. All right, thank you.
Do you have any questions at all?
Yep.
Questions?
Oh, sorry. Yep. Did you have it in the links?
The GitHub?
Yeah. I can type it here right now.
The GitHub you're looking for?
No, let's. I'll put my email address and my Twitter handle. And at GitHub, it's my same Twitter handle. Go to PerezGB at GitHub, and the full repository is there. If anyone, if anyone has any questions, or if you want to go through the app while you're here, I'll be here until 7. So feel free to come up and ask any questions you have.
Thank you.